Hi, and welcome back to Continual Fandom. Tonight I'm going to be putting on my Captain Kirk mask. We might be painting it white. And I'm going to be running around to probably do my best to portray a serial killer tonight. Depending on what I may or may not have to do with my panelists. So I'm your host, Jim Nettles, or at least the illusion thereof. If you haven't figured it out yet, we're here to talk all about Halloween. So let's go around and see who is coming in to, well, have a little slashing fun. So Layla, you're up first.
Hi, I'm Layla Dorine. I write LGBTQ fiction and romance. And my first introduction to Halloween was spent peering around the couch while my uncles were watching it and then getting in trouble because I would not go to sleep that night.
Jamie.
Hey, I am the shape of Jamie Garner. I'm a professional author and editor. I write all sorts of different genres and generally a lot of lesbian stuff. And also, I don't remember when I first saw Halloween, but I know I was a kid and I know I wasn't supposed to. And I know I got nightmares, but ever since I've always had to come back to it. So,
Alledria.
Hi, I'm Alledria Hurt. I am a horror, fantasy, sci-fi writer, and let's see, I was a teenager by the time I saw Halloween the first time, and still somehow managed to think that that was something I needed to keep coming back to. I might be a little damaged. We're just,
Greg?
Well, I'm Greg Uchrin, and I'm a cartoonist and artist and whatever. Used to be a pundit. We're doing political cartoons, and if there's a word out there, I've probably pundit. My introduction to Halloween, it was a couple of years after it was out. I saw it on television. I was going, who's this guy John Carpenter with his name above the title? And then I was hooked. And I became a John Carpenter fan, of course, and a Halloween fan.
Well, to get prepared for tonight's panel, I didn't bother watching Halloween over again. It's been a while, but I did watch Escape from New York over the weekend. So I got some, I got some of the good John Carpenter inspiration in here. But we've kind of covered off and hit that, when did you get your first start with Halloween? But when we look at kind of the quintessential franchises of the 80s, and we look at kind of the scream queen, who was more than just a scream queen, it was Jamie Lee Curtis. And I think one of the big things that's really different out of this franchise is we've gotten to go on a trip with these two. We'll forget necessarily the one in there, but we'll get there. But I want to start with that first Halloween movie, right? So when that came out, and John Carpenter was still pretty young in career in terms of filmmaking and all the fun stuff he did and came out with, but in a lot of ways, I'd say he set the template for what we now have as modern horror. So Layla, kind of thinking about that first movie as you were, whether you were peeking around the couch back in the day or now, what is it about this story and about Mike Myers that speaks to you?
It's those jump scares. I love that shiver of just fear when he pops out, but also the fact that, you never expect where he's going to be, especially in that first movie and what's going to happen. And I was like, I remember watching it probably in my 20s with friends, with the pizza and everything, and sitting there just, oh my gosh, it was so intense to realize he's watching. A lot of it is him watching, and then that creepy music hits. And when the creepy music hits, that's when something's going to happen. And it kind of took me a while to figure that part out, because I started watching horror movies really young. It took me a while to realize, there's always that tempo change, that tone, but then you're still not ready for that jump scare. So for me, still being able to be scared, in fact, I did binge a couple of the movies yesterday and the day before, and I was walking through, I had the lights out and just the movie going, and I tripped on something with my dog and he popped up on the screen. And yes, there was a moment I was just like, okay, I just scared myself in my own bedroom. Thank you very much. I'm glad I can still be scared by these movies.
Jamie?
Well, I mean, the things about the original Halloween that are so compelling is the concept of, I think the two things we really capture is the idea of you have this person that is just literally pure evil. I mean, he is literally pure evil described that way, and rightly so. And that's, but it's interesting in that it's an undirected evil. It's not some mastermind. It's not some Machiavellian thing. This is a force of nature, someone that just wants to harm and kill people. He doesn't have, again, in the first movie only, as we're talking about, there is no motivation, there is no targeting, he's gotten free, and this is this night where he does his thing. And that ties to the whole idea of the hidden danger of suburbia. I think that's a big thing that Carpenter did really well with this. The idea that there's this veneer of safety and this facade of politeness and peace in suburbia, but whether it's a serial killer or people being nasty human beings, there is always a chance that veneer will fall away and will fall back to the same dangers as you'd find anywhere in the world. Especially again to back up the POV shots for Michael Myers is just, it's really, really well done. Just adds that sense of, especially early on, like if you're watching this raw, no idea, it's that, do you really wonder, what am I seeing? What is going on? And then as the pieces start to fall into place, it's like then it becomes that omen that something terrible is going to happen. And then you have to watch it through. I mean, he's the boogeyman.
Mm-hmm.
Alledria?
I've lost the question.
Well, for you, right? Thinking back to that first film, but I mean, just through the story, what is it about this story in horror that grabs you?
It's almost like Michael Myers is, at least for me, seems like he's almost a continuation of urban legends. He's like, it's like that story that you cannot possibly believe that this is true. And in this case, it actually is.
Greg?
Well, I'm old enough where I remember the scares about poison candy and razor blades in the apples and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I come from with the Halloween thing. Halloween itself becomes the father or mother, whichever you want to call it, of the slasher films, and it looks back at Psycho, which is the grandmother or the mother. Yes, definitely the mother of the slasher films. And I do want to say one thing, Jim, that Michael Myers in back of you looks so much like Elon Musk. It's frightening.
I'll see if I can work on that for you. So, so Jamie, I'm going to start with you on this, and
Okay.
we can't talk about horror movies without asking a really critical question.
Mm-hmm.
Across all of them, what's your favorite kill?
So I'm gonna have to go with, again, I'm very much Halloween 1 to 3 is where I particularly like. I really fell off after that. Didn't like them as much. I'm gonna have to say I could go for, like, most of the kills in the first one are fantastic. But I'm gonna go for the unsung hero here. I'm gonna go Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. I'm going to go for when that entire family gets silver shamrocked at once, as an example. It's just those things are just. I had nightmares about those masks, and that Silver Shamrock ditty just still freaks me out to this day. But it's just so cruel. It is a nasty yet not like excessively gory way to die. And all the bugs. I mean, I don't have a problem with bugs normally, but that kind of takes the cake.
All right, Alledria.
I want to say it's in 2 when he's in the hospital and he melts that lady's face off.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yep.
I'm like, that right there is like, as a child who spent a lot of time in hospitals, no.
Greg?
Well, my favorite score is number 1, but I do have a lot of love for, I think it's the 5th one, with the flighty heroine who actually kisses Michael Myers at one point. And it's Dr. Loomis is really on his last legs in there too. But it's just, it hits me in a different way. I like it.
All right, Layla. What's your kill?
Well, the 1 and 2 was my kill, and 2 is actually one of my favorites. But I am also a fan of the Rob Zombie versions. Oh. And, there were a few in that first Rob Zombie movie that were just, whoa. So just pretty much anything in the Rob Zombie ones. I love his movies anyway. So any of the ones in his first movie rank right up there with my top one.
So let's dive a little bit deeper in. I just want to kind of stick to the first 3 films because I mean these are the John Carpenter. These are really John Carpenter's babies, right? And those 3 films really come in and set the tone for horror, right? If we look at Friday the 13th, if we look at Freddy, if we look at all the other stuff that came afterwards to follow, just look at the kind of that core part of the Laurie arc. So, Allie, I'm going to start with you on this one. So, if you think about Laurie's story, just in those first 3 films, what about her as being the scream queen that does more than just scream?
I think it's actually fascinating watching her go from it's literally you can tell in like the first movie when she realizes that she has agency instead of just running from things. And you're like, oh, okay. So that moment when she goes, okay, this is actually happening and I don't get to check out on it. Mm-hmm. That point is when she becomes an interesting character to me. It's when she when she says, okay, I might not be able to just straight up stop him, but I don't have to just continually run from and end up eventually being a victim of him.
Greg?
Yeah, I think that Laurie's arc is it's very complex. She grows between the first one and the second one because she has to develop her defenses. Yes, there's a boogeyman. In the first one, she's screaming, but in the second one, she's got to take charge of herself. And, well, of course, in the third one, she doesn't show up at all.
Right.
But
the anthology, yeah. And I want to hit the anthology in a minute, but yeah.
Yeah.
Layla?
But Dr. Loomis is my favorite character.
Honestly, it's the ultimate game of survival to me. I mean, it's like he is a boogeyman and becomes a boogeyman to a lot of other people, but she's his target. And so evading him, hiding from him, mastering her fear to be quiet enough when when she can literally see his feet right there in the hospital. Getting, she gets to the end of the hall and there's that moment where he turns around and that they've made eye contact. And it's just like, I think for me, that's where she really goes into full on like survival mode. She's seen him go out the window. She's seen all these other things happen to him and he still keeps coming. And so it's like cat and mouse meets Survivor with those two. I wish they'd been in the third movie. I actually watched that one the other day and was joking with my roommate that the direction they took that is kind of like Highlander 2, where they're just trying to do too much of an explanation.
Yes, it's the one that we don't want to admit exists.
Right.
For some people, yes. I like it. Don't worry.
It's entertaining, but it does remind me a lot of Highlander 2, where they're trying to explain something that doesn't need explaining, where the real fear is we have no explanation for how he keeps going, why he keeps going, how he can just get up with however many shots in him. And that's kind of the best part, because we don't know.
But it proves the power of the sibling rivalry. So, Jamie?
So basically for me, I think an interesting take that often gets forgotten in the first movie is that Laurie is interesting in that she's, of her friend group, the more responsible one. She's the one that isn't ditching on her responsibilities to have fun on Halloween. She may not like it, but she is doing that. It's part of that responsibility that is why she, winds up really fighting against, Michael Myers, because she's protecting those kids in addition to herself. And that is an aspect I think that sometimes gets a little forgotten in the discourse on the first movie. It's like it's a steel that, is kind of hidden, but then comes out in this moment of, doing, yes, this is all a survival and all that, but there is that element of protecting and being responsible and, a bit of mama bear in there, I think. I'm honestly not as much of a fan of the whole familial connection thing. I get that, but I kind of like it. There's a reason I think the first one is the best. Not just because of anything else, but there's a purity. Once you start giving Michael Myers a reason to be killing people, and specifically be targeting these people, two's still a great movie. But I think you take away some of that universalness that's supposed to be Michael Myers as the shape, as the boogeyman. He's not supposed to be human. He's something else. So he doesn't have motivations, but
the banality of evil.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And you mentioned her responsibility, and it kind of goes back to what was said about the urban legends.
Yes.
Because in all those old urban legends, it was the babysitter not being a proper babysitter. And they twisted that in this story, and she is the picture of responsibility and really is doing her job to do the best she can for those kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Including standing up to the boogeyman.
Right?
And it's the origin of the last virgin standing trope. Mm-hmm.
the final girl.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, Greg, I'm going to come to you to start on this one, because I want to kind of leap past the other films for just a minute and finish out the Laurie arc. We jump forward to the Halloween H2O and the Halloween Resurrection period, where it's, miraculously, Laurie's back because she hit her death. We're into Michael Myers, the soap opera, right? The only thing they didn't do was make her having had amnesia for that length of time. But kind of looking at to look at that part of the Laurie arc, when we look at those two films, what do you think? How do you think they did with bringing her back and trying to go for what some might have called Michael Myers the cash grab?
Well, they're trying to. I saw them trying to reboot the story, um, and the only way to do that would be to bring back Laurie, because Dr. Loomis is the original Dr. Loomis is dead by this time, Dr. Donald Pleasance. But they had to reboot it several times, and I don't know how they work together. Uh, I liked all the movies individually, but I don't think it actually formed an arc.
Technically, they didn't. There's like 3 different storylines going on in
Yeah.
Halloween. Well, actually, no, 4 if you count the Rob Zombie ones. There's like
Yeah.
4 separate timelines going on
And
here.
Laurie dies in one of them too.
Yeah.
You know, so they're all separate.
Layla, any
I
thoughts?
mean, at least they didn't take him to Manhattan. So, I mean, there is,
Or space.
yeah, or space,
Or had him fight a telekinetic girl.
or Vegas, or the Hood. So we've got that covered there. But I mean, it really
There's still
did
plenty of
seem
time.
like
Shush you.
when they were doing all those reboots and everyone was trying to like revamp 80s horror. I do think they at least tried to stick to the core, by going back to Laurie, by fleshing that out more, by showing how he's still out there. He's still a shadow that is like in the back of her mind, lurking, casting kind of a potential pall over everything, wreaking havoc when he does appear again. I remember the one where she's like a teacher or something at a school, and
Yeah, I
he's
think
showing up
Shuo.
Yeah.
there. I mean, it's like he's always with her, and I think as a viewer, there is moments where you're looking at that going, okay, is he really physically there? Is he a figment of her imagination? Or are we going to get to the end of all this and they're one and the same? So I still had so many things that I wanted to keep watching for, just to see how it was all going to wrap up.
Jamie?
Well, I'm not a big fan. Again, after 3, a lot of it, though I will admit one bit of ignorance on my part. I haven't seen the newest, I think 2018 to like 2022 movies.
You mean Halloween Ends and...
Yeah, Halloween Kills, Halloween Ends. Yeah. I'm curious.
They are
because,
actually interesting and well done.
yeah, because I feel like, it's then they kind of cut all the rest of the series off, start back at 1. I know it does feel like it did feel like it did feel a bit like Michael Myers the cash grab. I have to agree, Jim. Don't want to diss anything too badly, but not my yum.
Alledria?
I actually enjoyed Adult Laurie. Jamie, her coming back as a full adult and being
she's great.
And realizing that she's like, look, been here, done this. This needs to stop. And getting to the point where she's like, no, I have played this game by his rules the entire bloody time. Mm-hmm. And we have proven that does not get me what I want. Therefore, time to rewrite the rules. Which, to be fair, when you consider it, it's like, that is a person moving fully into taking responsibility for a situation. It's like, look, I've already tried this, but since I know that doesn't work, I am now responsible to have to come up with a new plan. And going back to her being a responsible protector person, by the time you get to Halloween Ends, she's got a granddaughter who's trying to get a life of her own.
Yeah,
maybe
I really want to watch
reincarnates, and every time she reincarnates, she's better able to take responsibility.
It was just like, wow, you watch her. If you connected just those like six movies, it would be a almost believable progression.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and much to your point, even if you look at everything in the original being a relative term, right? But everything in from the original film up through when we finally actually do kill off Laurie, or Laurie jumps and leaps and plunges to her death because she's just done. Um, looking at that story, but what is it about that Michael Myers or all the iterations of that Michael Myers we see? And Layla, I'm gonna come to you first on this, but when we kind of look at that Michael Myers, we look at that force of nature, and we look at all the different ways he gets played with in there. How do you really interpret that? I mean, as really an icon of horror, how do you really look at him as our big villain?
You know, I don't even know so much as villain, because we get to the point where he's just this animated force. I think a villain has to plot and plan and create situations, and he's just a lurker. And that expressionless mask of his, I love that even though there are times where she's talking to him and he seems to maybe be listening, that mask is there, so that expression never changes. He's just this blank, animated evil, and that's all he is. I think that's the one thing that the series proves over and over, is that there's no soul in that body. There's nothing there. It is a blank wall of malice that keeps coming for her. And if I know there's some classes where they talk about like the psychology of the movies and how, that is a piece of the psyche and all of that. And I think in terms of just pure horror, it's this presence that she never was going to shake, ever.
Jamie, how about for you? And again, let's just go with that notion of a force of evil, right?
I mean, that's what makes him the archetypical, slasher villain is. And I have to agree with Layla. Villain's not really the right term. He's a force of nature. It's an evil force of nature. There he is evil, but a villain is giving him too much agency. He does what he is designed to do by whatever cruel fate made this kid a soulless, psychopath. I mean, I think Loomis's whole speech to the sheriff in the first one really kind of sums it up, where you're talking about he's got the devil's eyes. From the very time he was born. He killed his sister for no reason, just cause. And I like that because it's not only, it's just so iconic. So many other, I think it works best compared to some, because some slashers get too much, I hate to say it, like sympathy. Give them a tragic backstory, give them a reason to do all this. Like, no, that I love some of those, but at the same time, I think it dilutes the purity.
Yes.
That Michael Myers represents, and even at the worst times, I feel always still has it. Even when he's the product of a secret cult and all of that to make the evilest boy in the world, Michael himself is still the same, and they at least keep that essence that he is this. He's called the Shape. In the credits, he's not called Michael Myers. He's the Shape, because he's not human. Mm-hmm. He is the shape of a human.
Yeah.
And he is the face of evil, that blank.
Which is William Shatner.
That blank face. But to your point, I mean, when you think about how they give the big tragic backstory of the boy drowning for Friday the 13th, and we all know how the Freddy story rolls out, and they did so much with that. And it was too much in a lot of those occasions. It didn't need all of that to be a good slasher film. It just needed the slasher. and an unending amount of targets for him to go after.
Jaws on land. With
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking about. He's the shark, only he's evil rather than a shark that's just feeding itself. Yeah. So I go back. Yes, I go back to the speech of Loomis at the beginning. For the first couple of years, he tried to reach him, and after that, he just realized there was nothing there. Not only that, but whatever was there was evil, and he had to keep it from ever getting out.
Mm-hmm.
The banality of evil. It's like
Yeah.
it in most cases, evil is not smart. I mean, in order for you to for most of us, when we think villain, we think smart.
Mm-hmm.
Michael is not smart. He's relentless, but he's not smart.
Well,
And
you never hear him say anything. How do you know?
There's just a certain low cunning, which, like the
it's animalistic. It's
yes.
not. It's
Yeah.
not. It wouldn't be what we would consider higher order intelligence.
Mm-mm.
We would because at some point, there's like, it's almost like when you think about psychology, according to certain thought processes, the smarter we get, the more likely we are to be able to set ourselves into other people's shoes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Empathy is a side effect of intelligence.
Yes.
And his complete and utter lack of empathy would say that there's not a high level of intelligence going on there.
It's all predator instincts. There's an object to kill. I must kill it, and then I will go find the next object to kill.
Yeah, the most he'll do is I do like the ghost kill where he dresses up as puts on the sheet and acts like the girl's lover. But even that's just basic animal mimicry. He's not trying. He just put on his skin basically, and
there's a scary thought. Put on his skin.
Eat on his skin, and goes to kill again.
yeah.
We're not going to blend Halloween with Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
But that could be interesting.
I mean, we could honestly, we could go wild. That would be where, if I were to take the evolution of Halloween, it would be there.
Oh, all right. So let me ask this, because this is actually a question I've got for you guys.
Oh boy.
Because there have been so many incarnations and reincarnations and reimaginings of Halloween. So, Jamie, if you were going to take the Halloween franchise and you got one book to write, what's the story you want to do with Michael Myers?
It's a tough one. Because it's so hard, because again, you have the quintessential one. You have the first one. It could stand alone for all of time. What I would probably do, and this would of course quite topical, is I would probably go with, and we kind of do a little smidge of what you see in some of the later Jason movies. I mean, you have this unstoppable thing of evil. I mean, I would probably go with something with the government screwing up and trying to do something with Michael Myers.
Alien.
No,
that is Alien.
It's Alien too. Yeah, it's the classic. You have corrupt government officials messing with something they shouldn't, and go from there. I mean, it'd be very cathartic. But
they could find a virus that turns the person into a slasher.
Well, no, I wouldn't even do that, because you can't ruin that perfect vessel of evil by being. It can be replicated. It can be done. Just they decide to mess with Michael Myers and in an attempt to make a suit, whatever, and then it goes horribly, horribly wrong.
As it should.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Alledria, what is your Michael Myers story?
If I was going to do that, I would basically add a villain. And the way I would do that would not be through corrupt government, it would be through a single person who is using sort of like the Freddy versus Jason story, where they were literally using one monster against another, where you take Michael and turn him loose as either to track either to kill someone specifically or to cause enough mayhem to hide what you're actually doing.
All right, Greg, what's your Halloween story?
The next year after the hospital, when Laurie thinks she's safe, and I have no idea where it goes from there, but basically she's in college now, and Michael Myers goes to the college. And we have mayhem ensuing because we've got a lot of victims.
Mm-hmm.
Layla?
So I would do a collector arc, and I would make it something like out of the black and white movie Freaks. It'd be a sideshow, and he would not just have Michael Myers, he would have others as well.
Ooh.
And it would be a grand exhibit that goes hideously awry.
So I do want to talk a little bit about Season of the Witch, right? Because they kind of played.
I think we should. Gosh darn it!
And because again, I remember laughing through the entirety of that. Right? I'm a horrible person. What can I say? I thought it was funny. For the most part, I thought it was. I mean, it was fun. Yeah, I know I'm not right. So, but I remember looking because it was the whole, well, Mike Myers, well, that was just a horror film. That's not in our real universe. So, Alledria, what were your thoughts on Season of the Witch when they tried to go to create it and change it into an anthology franchise?
Like you, I laughed through most of that movie. Because there's a level of like, the devil y'all doing that went through that whole thing. It's like, you are trying to do too many things, sir. Please stop. Pick a lane. We will be okay if you would do this for us. Please pick a lane.
That whole attempting to explain the Celtic origins and all of that, it took a lot of drinks to get through that section of the movie.
Like,
I had to break out the good stuff. It was not just buzzball time.
It's an unsung classic. That's what it is. I think here's the thing, right? It was always Halloween was always meant. Always the back to Prince was always meant to be an anthology series. Like if I recall right, I mean I could be misquoting, but like they didn't even want to do like Halloween 2 as a follow up to Halloween 1. It was Halloween. The first one just was so powerful and did so well, they felt like they had to. It's always meant to do this. But it's hard. You can't switch stream. But at the same time, which I love Season of the Witch, you can't switch stream. You can't switch streams mid voyage without falling into the river. And it does do that. No matter how good it is, it's just too different, too much of a departure. If it had been the second one, that could have possibly gotten away with it, but not at 3. You can't go 1, 2, and then what's this?
Then go to 4.
Then basically go to 4. I mean,
yeah, I like Season of the Witch, but I think it's a standalone. It does not have. It's just by accident part of the Halloween thing because it takes place at Halloween. Tries to explain what Halloween's about.
Mm-hmm. It reminds me actually of The Stuff. The Stuff is basically another horror movie. I think it was around this time too, where it wasn't Halloween, but it was like it's an innocuous thing that a lot of people found funny, which was there's this company that dug up the stuff from the ground. It tastes really good. They just called it The Stuff. Super addictive and everything, but it's actually like a protoplasmic hive mind monster that starts consuming people and turning it into more of the stuff. So there's a lot of similarities, a little bit of that camp, but both are really scary. Both have really scary elements, and both are kind of like more in the cult classic range now. But I feel there's a lot of both also have that corporate malfeasance thing. Like in both sides, you have evil corporations doing evil corporation things, of course, with powers that they don't fully understand. But
Welcome to the age of AI.
you got to find the stuff is good. The stuff is good, which I think is actually I think that may be one of the slogans of the stuff in the movie.
I think that was one of the things that bothered me so much about Season of the Witch is they tried to make it more about the mask and the night than in Michael. Like he almost got lost.
Well, there is no Michael Myers in the third movie.
Mm-hmm.
So again, can't change boats midstream. You just fall in the river.
So let's talk a little bit about 4, 5, and 6, where they were like, okay, I guess we need to go back to our titular character for whatever reason. So, Alledria, I'm going to go to you on this one with that thought. So when we look at 4, 5, and 6, where they did try to create a little bit of an arc there, as discombobulated as it might have been, is there anything about that story? Because again, at that point, Laurie's dead, quote unquote. We're seeing her kid. We're seeing a lot of the life happening, but it's sort of Mike Myers, the next generation. So, and I mean, you had some pretty big time gaps in there to get to see stuff going on too. So,
it's to be fair, 4, 5, and 6 seem like they were. It's like you got 1 and 2 together. 3 is sitting over here in the cheap seats. 4, 5, and 6 are trying to do something else entirely. And then you have from like H2O to the end, and you're like, but what? I don't quite get it because it's like you jump around as much as you do. And then it's like Laurie's dead, Laurie's back. Then you're just like, and I actually looked up an infographic about this and about this whole thing, and it's like, wait, there's like 4 timelines going on here. It's like, this is why none of this makes sense, because I'm hopping around in the multiverse trying to keep up with this
basically
thing. It's like, okay, so 4, 5, and 6, if you take the 3 of them together, they are kind of cohesive. But they don't attach to what's before them. They don't really attach to what's after them. If you take them as a triptych by themselves, they're okay.
It's sort of like another the first reboot of the thing, of the story of the Michael Myers story. You still have Dr. Loomis, you have Laurie's kid, and there's the interaction between them and Michael. It's another story entirely, but it's with the same characters.
Mm-hmm.
It's fan fiction made in film. It's essentially fan fiction. It's okay.
But hey, we get a young Paul Rudd getting to act up.
Paul Rudd. He hasn't aged.
Oh, okay, yes, physically, but temporally. I will say, I think it was a bold idea to try to do the whole cult thing, and a weird sort of like almost like they read some of the cliff notes of like Season of the Witch for number, I think that's number 6, Curse of Michael Myers, and then like, well, I mean, let's try the Druids again. Let's see if that works. It's an interesting idea. I mean, at least they tried to give it some structure at the end, but I mean, and of course, Donald Pleasance is like always the outer professional, acting his rear end off, and but at least, yeah, you're right. There, at least 4 or 5 do have the cohesiveness of Loomis, but still gets pretty buck wild fan fiction.
Layla, anything you want to throw in that mix?
As much as it was a different one to throw in there, because I love in 4 they go back, they're at the mental hospital. Loomis is tracking Michael. Laurie's daughter wants to trick or treat. You've got all those things going on. The one, and I was double checking on my phone here, the one that is Halloween Resurrection, where they've got the whole broadcast and reality show going on. That was funny.
That one's fun. Yes, it definitely is fun.
That was just a great little take, because now, like, it's not just contained to Haddonfield. The legend, the man, the myth, the legend, he's gone, viral, and everybody's seeing what he's capable of and what goes on. So now we've taken it out of the little suburban town where, people moving in might really think, yeah, this is just another one of those urban legends that these people who have lived here forever. Nah, everybody, kind of got a taste of what that town was dealing with that when that reality show tried to live stream from there.
Mm-hmm. And I think that there was a missed opportunity here in terms of films. And that was do a mashup of Mike Myers as a driver in the world of Death Race 2000.
We do know he can drive.
Yes. They probably taught him.
No, he's just...
Yeah, I know. That's what Dr. Loomis said back in number 1.
It's like, that's what it was like, how did you learn this, sir?
The boogeyman obviously knows how to drive. I mean, it's just...
Yeah.
But only stick shift.
Way more time efficient.
That's the most evil form of driving is stick, so it makes sense.
All right, so I want to throw out there so the Rob Zombie reimagining. Who wants to touch on that?
I do genuinely like the first one. The second one gets off the rails.
Right.
But the first one still is pretty. I mean, I cannot not remember his name. I love him as an actor. Who did Loomis in the remake?
Malcolm McDowell.
Yes, Malcolm McDowell. Yes, thank you. Mm-hmm. I mean, he really goes for it to try to capture that same like intense energy from Pleasance. They give Michael too much backstory. But at least it is weirdly coherent. At least the backstory works. It goes off the rails in 2. It really does.
Yeah.
But the first one I think is looking at an alternate take with a more like modern gore sensibilities is way gorier. I think it has a purpose. Like it exists for a reason that's worthwhile to examine. But
I felt like it existed to try to fill the gap between when he killed his sister and the first movie.
Yeah.
And to show that childhood development that Loomis had talked about of there's nothing there. But to see it in the actual face of a child, that gave it a creepier factor.
That
it's like
was
one of those
unsettling.
Dolls, those expressionless dolls.
So unsettling.
Mm-hmm.
I really think at least Rob Zombie truly enjoyed the original movies and was truly going for something, so it's got artistic merit.
Yes.
So, what then about the sort of sequels to the original film that were kicked off in 2017?
Yeah, 2018.
Of Halloween.
I have to tap out. It sounds like it's interesting, but I have not seen them yet. I tried to watch them before this, but life got out of hand. But I plan to go back. I'm really interested in the idea.
These are the ones where Laurie is a girl. It's past H2O after she's been a teacher. Now she's got her own kid, and I think the last one is her granddaughter is trying to forge her own life, and Michael, of course, bloody peers because, of course, this is evil. Evil. To be fair, the whole point of horror is the understanding that yes, evil does not die, but evil also does not win.
It always comes back.
Right.
And
Yeah,
you never
and
know
Laurie has to
when.
become like Sarah Connors. Be
Yes.
ready for it
Yeah.
all the time.
Yes, where you have
Yeah.
to, where you see how she has sort of rebuilt her life with the understanding that Michael is not dead.
Mhm.
She's aware and
Right.
she's preparing for when he returns. It's
Hmm.
like, I know this is coming.
Can't kill the
I
boogeyman.
I
Right.
feel responsible to protect the members of my family who are going to be affected by the fact that this guy keeps coming back. So,
And in the last movie, there is a scene where she's outside of like a grocery store and her neighbor is there with her sister, and the sister was one of the victims. And you see it earlier in the film in a flashback where the sister had been stabbed in the neck and she survived but can't speak. And, the other sister that's there with her, with the one in the wheelchair, is saying, this is your curse. You brought this on. And I bet you don't even know her name. Other people have been caught in the crossfire of this, and you're out here, shopping and doing normal things. And, it really drove home how widespread his lingering returns had become, not just on her family, but on anyone who was anywhere close to her or the town.
So, two more questions before we wrap it up. First one is this: from your perspective, and because I know all of y'all are very much horror fans, I know all of you, in terms of loving story and everything else. But the first one I'm going to throw out there is this: what to you is the legacy of the Michael Myers franchise, the story, the arc?
Every single slasher movie and a significant amount of modern horror films. That is the legacy. It is
Yeah.
it is vast
Yeah.
and almost all-encompassing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think, it's like when you think about horror movies and sound,
Yes. Oh my God. So many
John
things.
Carpenter's sound profile for Halloween
Because he wrote the music.
has literally like set the basis for the way that sound is done in so many movies after the fact. I mean, just the like, even the places where there is no sound, those places where you realize that the only thing you hear is the sound of people's footsteps, where the only thing you hear is something that would be ambient noise, but you realize that 30 seconds ago you were listening to the background music. And then suddenly it changes to the ambient noise, and you don't even realize that your heart rate just picked up.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly the music has influenced a lot of other slasher movies and horror movies. Even Ennio Morricone did the thing for John Carpenter, did the sound, and he sounded like John Carpenter.
The way the sound and this turns up, it's even transitioned into video games. When you're deep into like those creepy video games, the ones where there's the jump scares and the big creature coming, and you start hearing, like in Silent Hill, and you start hearing the feet of the shamblers walking. You hear them before you ever see them through the fog, or ever even see their shadow. But they're coming, and the louder they are, the closer they are, the more ready you are. And then the one jumps out from behind you that, you forgot to turn around so you could shoot on time. So that whole use of sound and soundtrack to create mood and tension has stretched in so many different mediums.
And of
you
course,
train us. You get trained to it.
Yeah.
over the course of like 2 hours. You get trained to it, and then when you start taking that into other mediums, like the first like couple of minutes of Silent Hill, when you start hearing the radio and you realize that it's like every time that happens, something bad happens.
Mm-hmm.
That connection gets made in your brain real fast.
Cinematography as well, the whole first-person stalker shot thing. I mean, they're swiping that as soon as, like, Friday the 13th, the first one, which is a great movie in its own right. Within, like, I think a couple of years, they realize how powerful that is. It creates mystery, tension, suspense, horror. It's like, you know, when something like that gets so universally emulated, it's just, its legacy is so clear.
And it has a way deeper stalker aspect to it than, like, Friday the 13th. You pretty much know one girl's going to live, maybe. Everybody, if you go outside, you're going to get hacked up. He's probably going to throw an axe through the window or some long shot with a machete. But every year that they make a movie, there's a disposable group of teenagers who will be heading out to Camp Crystal Lake to be offed. And we will get to see their shenanigans in the beginning, and then we will get to see them die one by one. And it's very formulaic. But when you look at the Halloween movies, even the later ones, when after they've done so many of them, everything changed. Like each one, it was that stalker. So Laurie's life changed. So the aspect of the stalking changed. Where we see him changes. Who he encounters changes. It's a different movie each time, rather than rinse, repeat the next group of, disposable teenagers.
There's also
And
the setting
the
aspect.
teenagers going to a certain place to get murdered, that comes from, like, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is one of my favorite movies, but I haven't seen it since I saw it in the movies.
Well, there's also the setting aspect. I mean, it's essentially cliche in horror now. The isolation necessary for these things to happen. This is in the middle of suburbia.
Yep, and that's what again makes it so powerful.
It's like this came to us, not
it
the
can
other
jump
way
out
around.
from anywhere.
Yeah, the tagline of the movie, "The night he came home."
Mm-hmm.
So, one last question. Everybody gets a shot at this. What's something we haven't talked about you think we need to talk about and that's relevant to the franchise?
I'm going to go with Sam Loomis as such a wonderful character for Donald Pleasance. And they Carpenter offered it to Peter Cushing first, and Cushing's Cushing's agent didn't even tell him about it.
I mean, great.
Then they offered it to Christopher Lee, and Christopher Lee grandly said no. And he said since then, that was the biggest mistake I've ever made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See that? Wow. Because think about that.
Dr. Loomis is a hero. And for a horror movie actor to have a heroic identification is something that I think Christopher Lee wished he had.
Right, he's just been doing Dracula and doing it really well. But,
right.
Yeah, and I don't think we can say that many of those later roles, Count Dooku, or just any of these.
He really has done really well as that quote unquote a-hole. I mean, he's done a lot of the a-hole movie roles. So, but sidebar, I think it is actually something to further dig into the fact that this is literally a bedroom community where this happens. This is not a metro area. This is not but it's not so rural that you don't know your neighbors.
Yeah.
Like, you can look into the house next door across the yard, and that, I think the fear that comes from that level of setting, because if there's a bunch of dumb teenagers out at a campsite doing dumb crap that gets them killed, there's a certain level of, well, they shouldn't have been out there doing dumb crap.
Yeah, just desserts.
Right.
But then when you think about it, Michael comes into what is otherwise a safe space
Mm-hmm.
and literally just murks a bunch of people. That right there gives it a level of terrifying because it's literally the it can happen to you.
Mm-hmm.
There is no safety. It can happen to you. It can happen anywhere. That I think is something that still has great potential as a horror writer. Maybe I should play with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think the other thing too is despite all the attempts to, give a backstory or a reason or in the end, there is no reason. And I think that the fact that remains all steadfastly through all the movies, Michael doesn't have a side of the story. Everybody else attempts to, be the author of Michael's story and give a reason, but there is no resolution because Michael never speaks. So we never know.
And most of the time, those that do try to add that story or manipulate or use him always ends up backfiring because he is evil. He's not on your side. He's not on anyone's side. He will kill anyone indiscriminately in his way, regardless. I think the only thing I'm going to say is because I actually forgot this. Texas Chainsaw Massacre came out a few years before Halloween.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I find it interesting in a way that it's in its own way sort of like it's the rural Halloween in a way.
Right.
You have these people that never really explain this crazy clan. We never really get an explanation. They're just there being evil. No motivations, doing the same things. I think there's a juxtaposition there that could be explored, but
if I remember right from my Art of the Motion Picture class that I took decades ago, the Psycho and Texas Chainsaw Massacre were originally based off like the crimes of Ed Gein.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And then you have Halloween, which was just taking some urban legends and writing a new story with it, with all those legends and lore about the babysitter arc and the siblings and all of that. So that time period was just ripe for horror done two different ways: the horror that's based on the true story and the horror that's just created from the collective legends that are already existing out there.
The interesting thing about Texas Chainsaw Massacre is that it was done after a serial killer in Texas that has been completely forgotten about, but basically there was he was preying on young men, and he had several assistants with him, and it was just it came out in the news and then disappeared. But if you were in Texas at that point in time, I'm sure that you would have known more about it.
Elmer Wayne Henley Jr. That's who you're.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's the series. But you're absolutely right. Yeah, it was the other big inspiration than Ed Gein. It was Texas right in that time period.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of Texas. There's plenty of places to hide.
Yeah.
I remember reading about it in the news. And then Texas Chainsaw Massacre came out, and I went, whoa.
Ripped from
I remember
headlines.
as a criminal justice major wondering, why are so many of the serial killers we're studying coming out of Texas?
Because there's a lot of Texas and plenty of places to hide.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Well, on that cheery note, I think we're going to put Michael Myers to bed for at least a episode or two.
Mm.
But until then, let's make sure everybody knows where to find you guys. Website, social media, all the good stuff. So, Layla, you're up first.
You can find me at Layla Dorine author at Wix.com, all over Facebook. Not as much these days because I've got a bunch of things to finish. My next release, More Than Scars, will be out in, 6 days. It is part of the Road to Rocktoberfest. And I've got 4 more releases this year coming to you as well.
Jamie?
Yes, Jamie Garner, easy enough to find my stuff. You can see everything I write on my website, jvgarnerwrites.com, under all 3 of my pen names. You could go to the publisher that publishes my work, gingerbluepublishing.com. On social media, JB Garner Writes, pretty much everywhere. Facebook and Blue Sky are the places I'm the most active. And my next release will be late this year, will be my return to the lit RPG genre, an isekai fantasy lit RPG called From Angry Secretary to Catgirl Heroine in Just One Rebirth.
Alledria?
It's Alledria at alledriahurt.com, where you can find fantasy, sci-fi, and horror. My most recent release was done back in August, cyberpunk romance as done in a world where energy drinks have taken over the world. And that's from Mocha Memoirs Press.
Greg?
And I have a website that has just gone live within the last couple of weeks, and I presented this.
Oh no, you disappeared. There you go.
Because I am so proud of it. It's live. It's still under work. I've got all of my old political cartoons on it and everything like that. But I am also working on a graphic novel of the Hanako-san legend from Japan, and I have just completed chapter 1, and I'm going to figure out how to get it up there and out into the open. It's an urban legend. Whatever.
The man, the myth, the legend, Greg. So, and you can find me at jamespnettles.com, authoressentialsworkshops.com, creatingprose.com, and of course here at Continual, unless of course Mikey here comes through the window and happens to finally catch me. We'll see you again soon. Go stack up those to-be-read piles.